My sister said, "Your son doesn't deserve to attend my son's birthday." This was after I said no to buying her a luxury car. Everyone burst out laughing. I simply said, "Everyone will get what they deserve." They had no idea what awaited them the next day. My sister looked straight at my 11-year-old son and said, "Your son doesn't deserve to attend my son's birthday." She didn't whisper it. She didn't pull me aside. She said it in my parents' dining room with 14 relatives sitting around the table, 3 days before my nephew's birthday party, while my son Noah was in the next room helping my father carry boxes of decorations. Then she smiled. My mother covered her mouth like she was trying not to laugh. My brother actually failed at trying. And within seconds, almost everyone at the table was laughing. Not because it was funny, because they thought I was powerless. My sister, Melissa, leaned back in her chair and crossed her arms. "You know how Noah is," she continued. "Ethan deserves one day where everything is about him. No drama, no awkwardness." I stared at her. "What exactly has Noah done?" She rolled her eyes. "Joan, please." That was always their favorite explain. "Joan, please." As if my name itself meant I was being difficult. My mother sighed. "Your sister has already made her decision." I looked around the table. Dad stared at his plate. My Aunt Claire suddenly found the centerpiece fascinating. My brother smirked. And Melissa looked almost triumphant. The reason for that triumph had very little to do with children. 2 hours earlier, she had asked me to buy her a car. Not help with a car, not lend her money, buy one. A brand new Mercedes SUV she had spent the previous month sending me photos of. She wanted it because, according to her current Lexus was embarrassingly old. It was 4 years old. She said Ethan was getting older, she needed something safer, and since I had money just sitting around, it made sense for me to help. I said no. One word. No. And suddenly my son didn't deserve to attend her son's birthday. That was the part nobody else at the table wanted to acknowledge. Melissa tilted her head. "You're looking at me like I kicked him out into the street." "No," I said quietly. "I'm looking at you because 2 hours ago you wanted me to spend $80,000 on a car for you, and now my child isn't good enough for your house." My brother laughed. "Oh, come on. Don't make everything about money." I turned toward him. "I'm not." Melissa smiled. "You always do this. The second someone tells you no, you start listing everything you've ever paid for." That was interesting, because I hadn't listed anything. Not yet. My mother reached across the table. "Can we please not ruin dinner?" There it was. Not, "Melissa, don't insult your nephew." Not, "Noah is family." Not even, "Maybe we should reconsider." Just don't ruin dinner. I sat there for another few seconds and felt something inside me become very still. People assume the moment you finally stop tolerating disrespect is explosive. It wasn't like that for me. There was no rush of anger, no shaking hands, no desire to scream. I had spent 23 years as a professional dancer. I had performed through torn ligaments, fractures, fevers, rejection, exhaustion, humiliating auditions, and directors who could destroy your confidence with 3 words. Dancers learn control. You learn to smile while your feet bleed. You learn to breathe while someone tells you that you're too old, too heavy, too stiff, too ordinary. And you learn exactly how long you can hold a position before something tears. That night, sitting at my parents' table, I realized I had been holding the same position with my family for almost 20 years. I had just reached the moment before the tear. So I stood. Melissa raised an eyebrow. "Where are you going?" I picked up my purse. "Home." My mother groaned. Joan. I smiled, not because I was happy, because I suddenly understood exactly what I needed to do. Melissa shook her head. Unbelievable. I walked toward the hallway. Then I stopped. Everyone was watching now, even Dad. I looked at Melissa. Everyone will get what they deserve. My brother laughed again. Melissa gave a little theatrical gasp. Oh, scary. I didn't answer. I went into the living room, found Noah taping blue paper stars onto a cardboard rocket for Ethan's space-themed party, and told him we were leaving. He looked confused. Did I do something? That question nearly broke something in me that Melissa's insult hadn't. I crouched in front of him. No. Is Aunt Melissa mad at me? No. He looked toward the dining room. Then why are we leaving? I took the roll of tape out of his hand and put it on the table. Because we have somewhere better to be. He nodded. Kids trust you before they understand you. I grabbed his jacket. Nobody followed us outside. Not my mother, not my father. Not one person came out to say goodbye to him. On the drive home, Noah asked if he could still give Ethan the Lego set he had picked out. I told him yes. He said, even if I can't go? I swallowed. If you still want to. He stared through the passenger window for a while. Then he said, I think I do. It's not Ethan's fault. My 11-year-old son showed more maturity in that sentence than most of my family had shown in years. That was when I knew I wasn't going to change my mind. The next day started at 5:42 a.m. I woke before my alarm. For a few seconds, I lay in the dark, listening to the heating system click on. Then I reached for my phone. 43 notifications, mostly family. I didn't open them. Instead, I made coffee, sat at the small desk by my bedroom window, and opened my laptop. I started with the birthday party. Melissa had told everyone she and her husband Ryan were throwing Ethan the biggest birthday he'd ever had. What she hadn't told anyone was that almost none of it belonged to her. The venue was mine, not figuratively, literally. 3 years earlier, after my dancing career slowed and I moved into choreography and studio ownership, I bought a converted warehouse with 2 partners. The front half became our dance academy. The rear half became an event space. High ceilings, exposed brick, a courtyard, a professional sound system, beautiful lighting. Melissa had begged me to let her use it for Ethan's birthday. Normal weekend rental was $4,200. I charged her nothing. The catering deposit? Mine. The balloon installation? Mine. The magician? Mine. The gaming truck? Mine. The custom astronaut cake for 80 people? Mine. I had paid for almost everything because Melissa had spent months telling me how hard the year had been for Ethan. His parents were arguing. He was struggling at school. He deserved something special. And despite everything between Melissa and me, I loved my nephew. So I built him something special. I just hadn't realized Melissa considered my son disposable while considering my money essential. At 5:58 a.m., I opened the venue agreement. It wasn't really an agreement. There was no contract, no deposit from her, no payment record, just my approval in the internal scheduling system. I removed the reservation. The date became available again. At 6:04, I emailed my events manager. Family booking canceled. Do not allow access without a new signed contract and full payment. Then I opened the catering invoice. 112 guests. Not the 60 Melissa originally told me. She had upgraded the menu twice without asking. Mini lobster rolls, prime rib carving station, custom desserts, open beverage service for adults. $7,860. My card. I called the caterer when they opened at 6. The owner, Daniel, knew me. Morning, Joan. Morning. I need to cancel Saturday. Pause. The birthday? Yes. Everything okay? No, but I'm within the cancellation window. He checked. You'll lose part of the deposit. I know. You sure? Yes. He didn't ask again. That was one thing I appreciated about professionals. They understood that no meant no. At 6:21, the catering was gone. At 6:27, I canceled the balloon company. At 6:31, the gaming truck. At 6:44, the photographer. At 6:50, I transferred the cake order into Melissa's name and instructed the bakery that any remaining balance would need to be paid by the person collecting it. I didn't destroy anything. I didn't call vendors pretending to be her. I didn't interfere with arrangements she had paid for herself. I simply removed myself from every agreement attached to my name, my company, or my credit card. At 7:03, I opened a spreadsheet. I had created it months earlier after my accountant asked why so many personal expenses were listed under family support. I had laughed at the phrase, family support. It sounded so clean. The reality was messier. Melissa's children's private school emergency tuition payment, $6,400. My parents' property taxes, $8,900. My brother David's dental surgery, $3,700. My mother's kitchen appliances, $5,200. My father's golf club dues, $2,100. Melissa's family phone plan, $3,480 per year. Ethan's summer camp, $2,600. My parents' homeowner's insurance, $4,300. 2 family vacations, Christmas gifts that somehow became grocery bills, restaurant checks, emergency repairs, subscriptions, loans nobody called loans because nobody intended to repay them. I stared at the numbers. Then I changed the spreadsheet filter. Last 5 years. The total appeared in the bottom right corner. $186,740. I actually laughed. Quietly. Not because it was funny. Because for years my family had acted like my dancing was a hobby that had accidentally become profitable. They made jokes about me spinning around for a living. When I started teaching, they said I had finally gotten a real job. When I invested my touring money into the studio, Melissa said I was throwing cash into a room full of mirrors. When our second location opened, my brother asked if I was running a ballet pyramid scheme. But apparently the money earned from spinning around was respectable enough to pay everyone's bills. At 7:18, I started removing automatic payments. My parents' insurance would remain active until the end of the billing period. After that, they would need their own payment method. Melissa's phone line? Transferred. Streaming services? Canceled. Family cloud storage? Separated. The emergency credit card Melissa carried under my account? Frozen. The educational savings account I had been contributing to for Ethan remained untouched. That money was for him. Children were not bargaining chips. That distinction mattered to me. By 8 o'clock, Noah was awake. He shuffled into the kitchen in dinosaur pajamas. Why are you working so early? Cleaning. He looked at the laptop. That doesn't look like cleaning. It is. He poured cereal. Then he sat across from me. Are we really not going Saturday? No. He nodded slowly. Can Ethan come here another day? That made me pause. Would you want that? Yeah, he's my cousin. Simple. Kids keep showing you how unnecessarily complicated adults make everything. If his parents allow it, I said. Noah shrugged. Okay. At 8:17, the first call came. Melissa. I watched the phone vibrate across the table. Didn't answer. Again. Again. Then a text. What did you do to the venue? Another. Joan, call me now. Then, this is Ethan's birthday. I read that one twice. Not because it hurt, because it told me everything. Yesterday, when it was my son being excluded, a child's feelings were apparently irrelevant. Today, when consequences reached her child's party, suddenly motherhood mattered. I typed one sentence. The venue is available at standard rental rate. Contact the events office if you'd like to book it. 3 dots appeared immediately, then disappeared, then returned. Are you insane? I put my phone face down. At 8:26, my mother called. At 8:29, my father. At 8:33, David. By 9, there were 12 missed calls. I took Noah to school. At drop-off, he hugged me and said, "Don't be sad about Aunt Melissa." I kissed the top of his head. I'm not sad. That was almost true. I wasn't sad about Melissa anymore. I was sad about how long it had taken me to see her clearly. The pattern hadn't started with the car, or the birthday. It started years before Noah was born. When I was 21, I got my first professional touring contract. It paid almost nothing. People imagine dancers make glamorous money. Most don't. My first year, I shared a 2-bedroom apartment with 3 other dancers and lived on oatmeal, eggs, bananas, and whatever food theaters put backstage. But the first time I came home with a professional company listed beside my name, my family didn't ask about the shows. My mother asked if I could perform at Melissa's engagement party. For free. I said yes. Then at her wedding. I said yes. Then at a charity event my aunt organized. Yes. Then choreography for my cousin's pageant. Yes. Then private lessons for Ethan when he was 5, because Melissa thought dance would help his coordination. Yes. Always yes. When my career finally started going somewhere, when I toured internationally and joined a contemporary company with real sponsorship and decent contracts, my family's attitude changed. Not toward me, toward what I could provide. My father suddenly needed help refinancing. Melissa needed money for a security deposit. David needed help paying off credit cards. Mom wanted to take the whole family to Italy and casually suggested I book the villa because I understood international websites. I booked it. I paid. And on the second night of that trip, they went to dinner without Noah and me because Melissa said the restaurant was not really for kids. Ethan went. He was the same age. I remember sitting with Noah on a stone wall outside a pizza shop in Florence. He was 6. He had tomato sauce on his shirt. He asked why everyone else went somewhere fancy. I told him they didn't have room. That was a lie. I had been lying to protect them for years. Your aunt is stressed. Grandma didn't mean it that way. Uncle David was joking. Grandpa gets uncomfortable with emotions. They love you. They're just not good at showing it. No. Love doesn't require this much translation. Love shouldn't need an interpreter. Around noon, the messages changed tone. Melissa stopped demanding. She started accusing. You are punishing Ethan because you're jealous. Then, you always hated that I had a normal family. That one almost made me respond. Almost. Melissa had always treated my divorce like proof that I had failed at womanhood. My marriage ended when Noah was 4. No cheating, no dramatic betrayal. My ex-husband and I simply reached the point where neither of us could pretend we were happy. We co-parented well, we respected each other. Somehow that offended my sister more than if we'd spent 10 years screaming at each other. She loved the word normal. Normal marriage, normal career, normal family, normal life. As if mine was some strange performance staged between rehearsals. At 12:46, she sent, "Maybe if you had focused more on being a wife than dancing, Noah wouldn't be so socially awkward." That was the first message I saved in a separate folder. Not because I planned to attack her, because I knew what came next. When people lose access to what they think they own, they rewrite the story. By 3 that afternoon, according to my cousin Rachel, Melissa had already told people I had canceled Ethan's entire birthday because she wouldn't let Noah bully him. That was new. Noah had apparently become a bully. I asked Rachel exactly what she had heard. She sent a screenshot. Melissa had written in the extended family group, "I hate bringing children into adult conflict, but Joan has been increasingly unstable. We made the difficult decision not to invite Noah after repeated behavioral issues with Ethan. Joan retaliated by canceling Ethan's venue and vendors. Please don't engage with her right now." I read it once, twice. Then I took a screenshot. No response. No group chat defense. No 10-paragraph explanation. I had spent most of my adult life believing that if people misunderstood me, I needed to correct them immediately. That instinct was gone. Truth doesn't always need speed. Sometimes it needs evidence. So I called my studio manager and asked her to export the venue reservation records, then the invoices, then the emails where Melissa asked me to just put everything on your card and I'll sort it out after. There were 11. She had never sorted anything out. I saved those too. At 4:15, my father showed up at the studio. He walked into rehearsal while 12 dancers were working through a new piece. I saw him through the mirrored wall. He stood at the back with his arms crossed. I finished the combination before acknowledging him. 5, 6, 7, 8. Turn, drop, recover, hold. Again from the top, I told the dancers. Then I walked toward him. "We need to talk," he said. "Not here. You're making this worse. Dad, your mother hasn't stopped crying." I looked behind me. My dancers were pretending not to listen. "Come outside." We stepped into the hallway. He lowered his voice. "What are you doing?" "Removing myself." "From a child's birthday?" "No, from paying for a child's birthday where my own child has been banned because I wouldn't buy his mother a Mercedes." Dad rubbed his forehead. "It's not about the car." "Then what did Noah do?" Silence. "Give me one example." He opened his mouth. Nothing. "One thing he did that justified excluding him." "Melissa says the boys don't always get along." "They're cousins. They argue over video games." "Exactly." I stared at him. "Exactly what?" He sighed. "You know what? This attitude is why everyone is upset with you." There it was again. Ask for evidence. Become the problem. I nodded. "Okay." He blinked. "Okay?" "Yes." "Then put the party back." "No." His face hardened. "Joan?" "I said okay to understanding what you meant, not to paying. You can't pull something like this 2 days before the party." "I did." "You'll humiliate your sister." "I'm not stopping her from having a party." "The venue costs over $4,000. "Yes." "The caterer wants thousands." "Yes." "The gaming company wants payment today." "Yes." He stared at me for several seconds. And then, finally, he said the thing underneath everything else. "Why would you make your own family pay full price?" I almost smiled. Because there it was. My family. Not when Noah needed a chair. Not when Melissa mocked my life. Not when everyone laughed. Family became sacred only when an invoice appeared. I stepped closer. Why would my own family expect me to pay full price for being disrespected? Dad's jaw tightened. "You're being dramatic." "No, I'm actually being extremely practical." I opened the rehearsal room door. He didn't move. "Joan?" I turned. "If Melissa wants the venue, she can book it. If she wants catering, she can hire catering. If she wants a luxury car, she can buy one. I'm done confusing generosity with obligation. He looked at me as if I had started speaking another language. You'll regret making everything transactional. I laughed once. Dad, I'm the only person in this family who apparently wasn't allowed to make anything transactional. Then I went back to rehearsal. That evening, there were 38 missed calls. By bedtime, 54. At 10:12 p.m., Melissa sent me a voice message. I listened once. She was screaming. Not crying. Screaming. She called me jealous, selfish, bitter, pathetic. She said Ethan was devastated.
She said Ryan had been forced to call his father for money. She said the party was supposed to make their family look good because some of Ryan's business clients were coming. There it was. Not just a child's birthday. A performance. A stage. And I had stopped financing the set. She finished with, "You think you're so powerful because you have money. You're still just a washed-up dancer who got lucky." I saved the message. Then I went into Noah's room. He was asleep diagonally across the bed, with one foot sticking out from under the blanket. I stood there for a long time. Washed-up dancer. Maybe. My knees hurt every morning. My left ankle had been reconstructed once. I couldn't perform a full classical program anymore without paying for it the next day. But that career had bought my home. That career had built my studio. That career had paid for my son's education. It had paid my parents' taxes. It had paid Melissa's emergencies. It had paid for Ethan's birthday. My family had spent years mocking the same thing that kept their lives comfortable. And I had allowed it. That was the part I had to own. They learned how to treat me by watching what I tolerated. The next morning, my mother arrived at my house at 7:30. No warning. She rang the doorbell 6 times. I opened the door but didn't invite her inside. She looked exhausted. "Are you proud of yourself?" "Good morning, Mom." "Melissa was up all night." "I'm sorry to hear that." "Don't do that." "Do what?" "Talk like I'm a stranger." I looked at her. "You laughed when she said Noah didn't deserve to attend." Her face changed. Only slightly, but I saw it. That wasn't what she meant. What did she mean? She was upset. Because I wouldn't buy her a Mercedes? You know she's been under pressure. So pressure makes it acceptable to humiliate my son? No one humiliated Noah. I almost admired how quickly she said it. He wasn't even in the room. I stared at her. So if he doesn't hear people deciding he's worthless, it doesn't count? I didn't say worthless. She said he didn't deserve to be there. She was angry at you. Then she should have insulted me. Mom crossed her arms. This is what I mean. You make everything so serious. Your sister says something stupid, and suddenly you're tearing the family apart. No, I stopped paying for a birthday party. You know it's more than that. Yes, I did. It was much more than that. My mother's homeowner's insurance payment was due in 19 days. Her phone transfer request had already been emailed. The credit card she used for emergencies no longer worked. She just didn't know all of it yet. She looked past me into the house. "Where's Noah?" "At school." "Does he know what you're doing?" "Noah is 11. I don't discuss financial boundaries with him." "He's going to lose his family because of you." That one landed. Not because I believed it, because I recognized it. Threat by prophecy. Behave, or your child will suffer. I leaned against the doorframe. "Mom, I want you to listen very carefully. Noah is not losing a family because I stopped paying bills. If people stop loving him because I stopped financing them, then he never had those people in the first place." She went quiet, for maybe 5 seconds. Then her phone buzzed. She looked at it. Her face changed. "What did you do to our insurance?"
I changed the billing information. To what? Yours? You can't do that without warning. You've got 19 days. Her eyes widened. What else? I didn't answer. Joan, what else did you cancel? Anything that belonged to me. You're punishing us. No. Yes, you are. I'm giving everyone responsibility for their own expenses. After everything we've done for you? I almost asked her to name it, but I already knew the list. Raised you, fed you, tough you to dance classes, sat through recitals, helped with Noah when you toured. Real things. Things I had appreciated. Things I had tried to repay 100 times over. But parenthood is not a loan agreement. You did a lot for me, I said, and I did a lot for you. Family doesn't keep score. I looked at her. Then why does everyone know exactly what I supposedly owe you? She had no answer. By Saturday morning, Ethan's birthday had been moved to Melissa's backyard. They rented folding tables. Ryan found a barbecue company. The cake survived because Melissa paid the remaining balance. Someone found a bounce house. The magician was replaced by Ryan's cousin in an astronaut costume. From what I later heard, Ethan still had fun. I was glad. I meant that. Noah and I spent the day at an indoor climbing center. Then we went for burgers. On the way home, we dropped Ethan's Lego set at my parents' house. Noah wrote a card. Happy birthday. I hope you build the rocket first. Noah. He left it on the porch. No speech, no punishment, no using children to fight adult battles. Melissa sent me the photo of the card later.
For one strange second, I thought maybe she was going to thank him. Instead, she wrote, "Trying to make yourself look like the good guy now?" I didn't answer. Sunday was when the family narrative began collapsing. My cousin Rachel called me, not texted, called. I need to ask you something. Okay. Did Noah actually bully Ethan? No. Like nothing? They argued once over a Nintendo controller. Noah apologized. That's what I thought. I waited. Rachel sighed. Melissa told Aunt Claire that Noah shoved Ethan down the stairs last year. I sat up. What? She said that was why he wasn't invited. That never happened. I know. How do you know? Because she told me a different story 2 weeks ago. She said you were both invited and she was excited because you were covering everything. There it was. The lie had grown too quickly. Melissa had forgotten which version she had told which person. Rachel continued. People are asking questions. Let them. You're not going to say anything? Not yet. That surprised her. The old Joan would have opened the family chat immediately. I would have explained every detail, dates, receipts, context. I would have begged people to understand. Not anymore. They're calling you cruel. I know. That doesn't bother you? It bothers me less than spending my life trying to convince people who already decided what they want to believe. Rachel was quiet. Then she said, You sound different. I am. Monday morning, my attorney called. Not because I was planning to sue my family. Because Melissa had crossed from gossip into something more dangerous. She had contacted the parents of 3 students at my dance academy. I learned this after one mother emailed my business partner. Melissa told them I was having serious emotional instability and that they should reconsider leaving children in my care. That changed everything. My studio was not a family group chat. It employed 26 people. Nearly 400 students attended classes every week. Melissa was now interfering with livelihoods because I wouldn't buy her a car and finance a birthday party. My attorney, Sabrina, listened while I explained. Do you have evidence? Yes. Good. Don't contact her directly. I wasn't planning to. That helps.
We drafted a formal cease and desist regarding false statements about my business and professional conduct. Nothing dramatic, no threats beyond what the law allowed. Just facts. Stop contacting clients, stop making false claims, preserve all communications.
At 2:14 p.m., she received it. At 2:19, my mother called. At 2:20, my father. At 2:21, David. At 2:23, Melissa called 7 times. I answered none. At 2:37, she sent, "You got a lawyer involved?" I forwarded it to Sabrina. At 3:05, "You're trying to destroy me." Forward. At 3:12, "I told people what I honestly believe." Forward. At 3:18, "Maybe your students should know how vindictive you are." Forward. That message, according to Sabrina, was especially useful. The strange thing was how calm I felt. I was sitting in Studio B while advanced students rehearsed a contemporary piece I had choreographed about restraint. 8 dancers moving in silence, pulling away from one another, reconnecting, breaking lines, rebuilding them. Watching them, I understood something I wished I had learned earlier. A boundary looks like cruelty to someone who benefited from you having none. By Tuesday, the story had spread beyond the family. Melissa posted online. No names at first, just, "It's heartbreaking when someone uses money to control the people around them and then plays victim when they're finally told no." Hundreds of people liked it. Then comments appeared. "Stay strong. Protect your son. Toxic people hate boundaries." That last one almost made me laugh. The irony was impressive. Then Melissa got bolder. She wrote that a wealthy relative had tried to sabotage her child's birthday, that this relative had a history of jealousy, that she was being financially abused. Screenshots reached me through other people. I still said nothing. Not publicly. Sabrina advised patience. Let her build the record. So I did. On Wednesday, Ryan called. That surprised me. We weren't close. He sounded tired. "Can we talk?" "We are talking. I mean in person." "No." He exhaled. "Fair." Silence. Then, "I didn't know about the car." I said nothing. "She told me you offered." My fingers tightened around the phone. "She told you I offered to buy her a Mercedes?" "Yeah." "I didn't." "I know that now." He sounded embarrassed. "What else did she tell you I offered?" Long pause. "The party." "I agreed to the party." "No, I mean, all of it. She said you wanted to cover everything because you felt bad about missing family events when you were touring." I closed my eyes. Of course. My generosity had been rewritten as guilt. Ryan continued. "She also said you were paying for Ethan's private school next year." "No." Another silence.
Okay. Did she tell you I was? Yes. I contributed once when you two had an emergency. I never committed to ongoing tuition. He muttered something under his breath. Then, "She told me your parents said it was basically understood." I laughed, not loudly. Of course they did. "Joan, I'm not calling to fight." "Then why are you calling?" "Because things are bad here." "That isn't my responsibility." "I know." That was the first time anyone in the family had said those words. I know. Not, "You're dramatic." Not, "Family helps family." Not after everything we've done. I know. Ryan lowered his voice. "Melissa thinks if she can make everyone angry enough at you, you'll come back and fix it." I leaned back in my chair. Fix what? Everything. There it was. Everything. Not the party, not the phone plan, not the insurance. The system. Me. I'm not coming back. I figured. What about Noah? What about him? Do you believe he did something to Ethan? Ryan hesitated. No. Did Melissa tell you he did? She said she didn't want him there because she was angry with you. I felt no shock, just confirmation. Thanks for telling me. Joan. Yes? I'm sorry. It wasn't enough to repair years, but it was real, so I said, thank you. That night, I finally posted something. Not an emotional essay, not accusations. A single public statement on my professional page. Recent false statements have been made regarding my conduct and my dance academy. These statements are being handled through counsel. Our students, families, and staff remain our priority. I will not discuss private family matters publicly, but I will protect my business and employees against knowingly false claims. That was it. No names, no drama. It had the opposite effect of what Melissa wanted. People started asking why lawyers were involved. Parents who knew me defended the studio. Former dancers posted about working with me. Staff members told anyone who asked that nothing unusual had happened. Melissa's vague accusations suddenly looked exactly like what they were. Vague. Then my Aunt Claire made the mistake that changed everything. She posted, "Some people use expensive lawyers and carefully worded statements because they know the truth would expose them." Sabrina called me within 10 minutes. "Your aunt just made this easier." "How?" "Because now we have a third party amplifying the defamatory claim after notice." I sighed. I don't want to sue my aunt. You don't have to, but save everything. So I did. Screenshots, dates, messages, call logs, receipts. That night I opened the family support spreadsheet again. $186,740. Then I looked at another number. My retirement projections. My son's college fund. A second dance studio I had delayed opening because I kept worrying that someone in the family might need help. For the first time, I saw the cost differently. Not just dollars. Years. Choices. Freedom. Every time I rescued them, I postponed something of mine. And then they laughed when my son was rejected. Friday evening, my father came over alone. He looked older than he had a week earlier. I led him inside. We sat at the kitchen table. He didn't start with hello. "Your mother's insurance payment bounced." "I know." "She thought it was still connected to your account." "It isn't." "She's furious." "I know." "Your brother's asking if you're really stopping the dental payments." "I already paid for the procedure. The follow-up bills are his." Dad nodded slowly. "Melissa says you've destroyed her reputation." "I haven't publicly named her." "She says people know." "That happens when you post about your family for a week and then receive a legal letter." He rubbed his hands together. For a while, we sat in silence. Then he asked, "What do you want?" The question irritated me more than anger would have. "What?" "What would make this stop?" "This already stopped." "You know what I mean." "No, I don't." He leaned forward. "Do you want Melissa to apologize?" "No." "You want your mother to apologize?" "No." "Do you want money back?" "No." He frowned. "Then what?" "I want nothing." That scared him. I saw it. Because anger could be negotiated. Money could be repaid. Apologies could be performed. But nothing? Nothing meant I was finished. "I'm not trying to win," I said. "I'm not asking anyone to choose me. I'm not asking you to punish Melissa. I'm not asking Mom to admit she laughed. I'm not asking David to defend me. I'm simply not paying anymore." "You're cutting us off over one comment." "No." I stood and went to my desk. I brought back the spreadsheet, printed, 6 pages. I put it in front of him. He stared at the first page. What is this? 5 years. He scanned the numbers. His face changed. I didn't ask you to calculate everything. I know. Why would you do this? Because I needed to understand what role I actually had in this family. He kept reading. Insurance, taxes, trips, school, emergencies, subscriptions, repairs.
By page 4, he had stopped defending anyone. At the bottom was the total, $186,740. He whispered, Jesus. That doesn't include gifts. He looked up. Joan, we never expected. Yes, you did. He looked away. You expected me to fix things. Silence. You expected me to pay quietly. You expected me to be grateful when I was invited. You expected Noah to accept being treated like an optional extra. And the one time I said no to something ridiculous, Melissa punished my child. Dad's eyes dropped. I didn't laugh. No, you stared at your plate. He flinched. That was worse. I didn't know what to say. You could have said his name. What? You could have said, Noah is family. 4 words. Dad rubbed his face. I should have. Yes. That was the first apology I had received. Not perfect, not enough, but honest. He pushed the spreadsheet toward me. I didn't realize how much. That's part of the problem. What happens now? You pay your own bills. And us? I understood what he meant. What happens to us? I thought about it. I don't know. He nodded. No accusation, no threat. Just a tired nod. Before he left, he stopped at the door. Your mother wants to come talk. I'm not ready. She says you're keeping Noah from her. I'm not. She hasn't asked to see him. He frowned. She says you won't let her. She hasn't asked. That realization sat between us. My mother had told people I was withholding her grandson. She had never once texted me asking to see him. Dad left without another word. Sunday afternoon, Melissa arrived, alone. She stood outside my house wearing sunglasses, even though the sky was gray. I opened the door but stayed inside. She took off the glasses. Her eyes were red. For half a second, I saw my little sister, the girl who used to sleep on the floor of my bedroom during thunderstorms, the teenager who came to my performances and screamed louder than anyone when I bowed, the woman I had helped after Ethan was born because she was terrified she wasn't doing motherhood right. Then she spoke, and the feeling passed. You've made your point. No. Her mouth tightened. No? I wasn't making a point. You canceled everything. I stopped paying. You humiliated us. I stopped paying. You got lawyers involved. You contacted my clients. She looked away. I was angry. That doesn't make it false? I never said anything specific. You told parents I was emotionally unstable. I said I was concerned. You told Rachel that Noah shoved Ethan down the stairs. Her face froze. How did you... So that's true? No. At least she admitted it quickly. I stared at her. You invented a story about my son. I was trying to explain why he wasn't invited. You needed to explain because the real reason made you look terrible. She crossed her arms. You said no to me in front of everyone. There it was. Finally. Not the party, not the children. The insult. I had told her no. I asked you privately, I said. But everyone knew. Knew what? That you wouldn't help me. Melissa, you asked me for an $80,000 car. You can afford it. I actually laughed. That has nothing to do with whether you're entitled to it.
You've spent more than that on your studios. They're businesses. And I'm your sister. That's not an argument. She stared at me with the expression of someone encountering gravity for the first time. Then she said, "You always loved having power over us." I shook my head. No. I loved being useful because I thought useful meant loved. That silenced her. For a moment. Then, "So what? This is therapy now?" No. I stepped closer to the doorway. This is simple. I helped because I loved you. You treated help like rent I had to pay to remain part of the family. And when I didn't pay enough, you removed my son. I was angry at you, not him. Exactly. She blinked. You used an 11-year-old to punish me. Her face crumpled slightly. I didn't move. She whispered, I didn't think you'd actually cancel everything. I know. You could have warned me. You could have warned me that my son's place in the family depended on whether I bought you a Mercedes. That's not fair. No, it isn't. She looked at me, and I think for the first time she understood that I wasn't trying to defeat her. There was nothing she could give me. Nothing she could threaten. Nothing she could bargain with. She changed tactics. What about Ethan? I love Ethan. He thinks you ruined his birthday. I'm sorry he thinks that. You did. No, he had a birthday. He had food, friends, presents, cake, family. It wasn't what we planned. You planned something with my money. She looked exhausted. Then her voice softened. I need help. 3 words. For 20 years, those words had controlled me. I need help.
Mom needs help. David needs help. Dad needs help. Ethan needs help. Melissa needs help. And Joan helps. That was the choreography. Everybody knew their positions. Everyone knew where to stand. I was the only one who hadn't realized I was allowed to walk off stage. What kind of help? I asked. Her eyes lifted. Hope. Ryan's furious. We have credit cards from the party. The school tuition is coming up. My car needs work. And your lawyer... No. The hope vanished. You asked what kind. I wanted to hear whether you meant help fixing what happened between us. She stared. You meant money. Her mouth hardened. You have no idea what it's like trying to keep a family together. I almost smiled. No, Melissa. I think I know exactly what it costs. She put her sunglasses back on. You're going to end up alone. Maybe she expected that to hurt. It didn't. Noah's inside waiting for me to make pancakes. She looked toward the hallway. For the first time, her expression changed. Can I see him? I thought about it. Not long, but honestly. Not today. She nodded as if I had slapped her. Then she turned and walked down the steps. 3 weeks passed. The family drama cooled because drama needs fuel. I stopped providing it. I didn't respond to vague posts. I didn't argue in group chats. I didn't correct every lie. My lawyer handled the professional issue. Melissa removed the posts referencing my business and signed an agreement not to contact clients or staff. I didn't sue. I didn't need to. My mother eventually transferred every household bill into her and Dad's names. David complained about his phone plan for exactly 4 days before getting his own. Aunt Claire stopped posting inspirational quotes about betrayal when my cousin Rachel publicly asked why she had laughed at Noah being excluded. That conversation apparently didn't go well. Ryan sent me one update. He and Melissa had separated temporarily. Not because of me, he said. Because the car argument exposed other debts she had hidden. I wished him well. I didn't ask for details. My father started coming to Noah's soccer games. Alone. The first time, he sat 3 rows behind me. He didn't ask to sit together.
After the game, Noah saw him and ran over. Dad hugged him. Then he looked at me. Okay if I take him for ice cream? I looked at Noah. He wanted to go. Sure. That was how trust started rebuilding. Not with speeches. Small behavior. Repeated. Noah came home 2 hours later, talking about chocolate milkshakes and Grandpa promising to help with his science project. I didn't interrogate him. I didn't punish my father by withholding access. Boundaries were not revenge. That distinction became more important to me every day. My mother took longer. 6 weeks after the birthday, she called. I answered. She was quiet. Your father says Noah has a science fair. Yes? Can I come? Yes. She sounded surprised. You're okay with that? If Noah wants you there. He does? You can ask him. Another silence. Then, Joan, I'm sorry. I closed my eyes. Not because I needed it. Because part of me had stopped believing I would ever hear it. For what? She exhaled shakily. For laughing. I said nothing. And for not stopping Melissa. Still nothing. And for acting like you were the problem afterward. I sat down. That's more than I expected you to say. I've been thinking. Okay. Your father showed me the spreadsheet. That irritated me, but I let her continue. I had no idea. That's what everyone keeps saying. I know. She sounded smaller than usual. And I realized maybe not knowing was convenient. That was the first thing she said that made me believe she understood even part of it. You didn't ask, I said. No. You just assumed. Yes. I can't go back to that. I know. No promises, no instant reconciliation, no dramatic forgiveness. Just two people finally speaking without pretending. Melissa took almost 4 months. She didn't call. She came to the studio. But unlike Dad, she didn't walk into rehearsal. She waited in the lobby. When I finished teaching, she stood. She looked different. No expensive handbag, no perfect makeup, no defensive posture. Just tired. Can we talk? I nodded. We went into an empty studio. Sunlight came through the high windows. She looked at herself in the mirror for a few seconds, then at me. I sold the Lexus. I blinked. Okay. I bought a used Honda. That's probably more practical. She laughed once. I would have hated hearing you say that 4 months ago. I know. She sat on the floor. I stayed standing. Ryan and I are in counseling. I didn't respond. I lied to him about money. I know. I lied to Mom, too. I assumed. I kept thinking everyone else had more. Better houses, better vacations, better cars. I kept telling myself if I just looked successful, I'd eventually feel successful. I leaned against the bar, and I was easy money. She looked down. Yes. The word surprised me. No excuse. No explanation. Yes. She rubbed her hands together. I thought because you were single and because your studios were doing well, you didn't need money the same way I did. That's a strange way to think. I know. And Noah? Her eyes filled. That was cruel. I said nothing. I knew exactly what I was doing. That mattered. More than I didn't mean it. More than I was stressed. She looked at me. I wanted to hurt you. I nodded. I know. I knew the easiest way was through him. There was the truth. Ugly, simple, useful. She wiped her face. Ethan asked me why Noah wasn't at the party. I told him you were being mean. My jaw tightened. I know. He didn't believe me. That surprised me. He said Noah wouldn't skip his birthday unless an adult made him. I looked toward the window. Smart kid. He wants to see him. That's up to Noah. I know. She took a breath. I'm not asking for money. Good. A tiny smile. I knew you'd say that. We stood there in silence. Then she asked, Do you hate me? No. She looked surprised. I thought I would, I said, for a while. And? Hating you would still mean organizing my life around you. She flinched. I don't want that anymore. So what are we? I don't know. You're my sister. Biologically, yes. Her eyes dropped. That sounds cold. It's accurate. She nodded. What would I have to do? For what? For things to be normal. There was that word again. Normal. I looked around the empty studio, the mirrors, the worn floor. The place my family once mocked. The place that had become my real home. I don't want normal. She looked up. I want different. How? You respect Noah even when you're angry at me. Yes? You never use my money without asking. Yes. You don't contact my work when we have personal conflict. Yes. You don't lie about me because you don't like my answer. Yes. And if I say no, that's the end of the conversation. She hesitated, then nodded. Yes. That's where we start. Her mouth trembled. Do you forgive me? I thought carefully before answering. I'm not carrying the anger anymore. That's not the same. No. She looked disappointed, but she nodded. Maybe that was the first boundary she had ever accepted from me, without arguing. 2 months later, Ethan came to our house. Just him. Melissa dropped him off and stayed in the car. Noah opened the door before I could.
They stared at each other for one awkward second. Then Ethan held up the Lego rocket. I built it wrong. Noah laughed. You put the boosters backward. I know. They disappeared upstairs. That was it. No dramatic reunion, no children forced to carry the emotional weight of adults. Just two cousins rebuilding something the adults had almost destroyed. That evening, after Ethan went home, Noah sat beside me on the couch. Are you and Aunt Melissa friends again? I thought about the question. We're working on being family. What's the difference? I smiled. Family is something you're given. Friendship is something you earn. He considered that. Grandma's nicer now. She's trying. Grandpa came to 3 games. I know. Uncle David still makes dumb jokes. I laughed. Yes. He leaned against me. Are you still mad about the birthday? No. Really? Really. And I meant it. Because the birthday wasn't the real wound. The birthday was just the moment the wound became visible. For years, I thought strength meant enduring. Keep dancing, keep smiling, keep helping, keep showing up. Make the payment, book the restaurant, fix the problem,
Don't embarrass anyone. Don't complain. Don't be dramatic. I had built an entire identity around being the one person who never needed anything. Then I wondered why everyone treated me like I didn't. That changed. The second studio opened the following spring. I used part of the money I would normally have spent rescuing relatives. We created a scholarship program for children who couldn't afford dance classes. Noah helped me choose the logo. A simple figure mid-leap. Underneath, 3 words. Take your space. At the opening, my father came early and helped arrange chairs. My mother brought flowers. David showed up late and, for once, paid for his own parking. Melissa arrived with Ethan. She hugged me. Quick. Careful. She didn't make a speech. She didn't tell me she was proud. She handed me a small box. Inside was an old photograph. I was 17, standing on stage after my first major competition, holding a bouquet. Melissa was in the audience behind me, maybe 12 years old, leaning over the barrier and grinning. On the back, she had written, "I remembered I used to look at you like this before I started measuring everything." I read it twice. Then I put it back in the box. "Thank you." She nodded. That was enough. Later that night, after everyone left, Noah and I stood in the middle of the new studio.
The lights were off except for the city glow through the windows. He slid across the floor in his socks. "Mom? Yeah? Do you remember what you said at Grandma's house?" "What?" "When Aunt Melissa said I couldn't go." I knew exactly what he meant. Everyone will get what they deserve. "Yes?" He smiled. "So what did everybody get?" I looked around the studio, at the mirrors, at my reflection, at him. I thought about Melissa trading her luxury car fantasy for a used Honda and therapy. My parents learning what their own life actually cost. David discovering automatic payments weren't a birthright. My father earning his way back one soccer game at a time. My mother learning that apology was an action, not a sentence. Melissa learning that access to me wasn't guaranteed by blood. And me. I had gotten something too. Not revenge, not victory. Space. I crouched beside Noah. Responsibility. He frowned. That sounds boring. I laughed. It usually is. What did you get? I looked at him. Myself back. He considered that for a second. Then he nodded like it made perfect sense. Maybe it did, because everyone had assumed that when I said, "Everyone will get what they deserve," I was threatening them. I wasn't. I wasn't planning to destroy anyone. I wasn't planning some dramatic revenge. I wasn't waiting to humiliate my sister in front of everyone who had laughed. I simply stopped protecting people from the consequences of their own choices. Melissa wanted a party she couldn't afford. She got the bill. My parents wanted to stay neutral while benefiting from my generosity. They got responsibility. My brother wanted independence from family drama. He got his own expenses. The relatives who believed every rumor learned to live with the embarrassment of repeating lies. The ones who bothered to ask questions got the truth. And Noah? He got a mother who finally understood that protecting him didn't mean teaching him to endure disrespect politely. It meant showing him that love without respect is not enough. And me? I got the thing I should have given myself years earlier. Permission to stop auditioning for a place in my own family. I had spent my entire adult life on stages. I knew all about applause. I knew how temporary it was. One night they love you, the next night someone younger, sharper, newer takes your place. You bow anyway. You leave the stage, the lights go dark, and eventually you learn something every dancer has to learn. The performance ends. You are still a person afterward. My family had only ever applauded when I was useful, so I finally stopped performing. And once I did,
The silence didn't scare me. It sounded like freedom.